Welcome to the debate. So, right now, there is a version of you living on a server.
A rather detailed version, honestly.
Exactly. It doesn't look like you, but, well, it knows exactly how fast you scroll when you're anxious. It knows what time of night your willpower breaks down, and exactly which font color makes you click buy.
It's eerie when you put it like that.
Right? But today we are looking at this profound yet incredibly quiet shift in modern life. Our digital environments are constantly observing our daily behaviors, feeding everything into these living prediction systems that basically anticipate and shape our choices.
Yeah, it is the ultimate invisible architecture. And really, the central question we have to grapple with today is what this architecture actually represents, right?
Exactly.
I mean, does this pervasive algorithmic observation represent a highly efficient evolution of digital convenience? Or, well, does it fundamentally compromise human autonomy by quietly manipulating our behavior just to serve corporate incentives?
I represent the perspective that this is, genuinely, a remarkable evolution of digital convenience. I believe AI profiling is an immensely powerful tool for reducing cognitive load and friction in our lives. It acts as a navigational aid that users can successfully manage through active awareness.
And I represent the defense of human autonomy. I argue that these systems create a deeply asymmetrical power dynamic that, extracts our behavioral data to shape our habits, meaning that preserving our agency requires us to actively resist and inject actual friction into our digital routines.
Okay, so let's lay out the foundation of why this tech exists in the first place. Because when I look at AI observation, I don't see a malicious surveillance tool.
You don't?
No, not at all. I see a highly sophisticated prediction engine that relies on fragments and probabilities to be genuinely helpful. I mean, if you're listening right now, you're probably thinking, I know the ads are targeted, I just ignore them.
Which, spoiler alert, you don't.
Hair. But we aren't just talking about ads here. We're talking about the order in which you see your friends' life updates, or the route your map app suggests, the news that surfaces on your feed. We have to be honest about human psychology here.
Right, that we're basically wired to take the easy way out.
Exactly. Humans rely heavily on heuristics, or mental shortcuts, to make everyday decisions. Deliberation is literally exhausting. The brain consumes calories, right? And the modern digital world is completely overwhelming.
Oh, there's definitely too much of everything.
Way too much content, too many products. AI simply assists us by acting as a highly personalized filter.
But we really have to look closely at what that filter is actually doing behind the screen. It's not just passively helping.
It is reducing friction, and in ways we deeply appreciate, I might add. The system reminds you of an important meeting before you drop the ball. A streaming service suggests a documentary series you end up genuinely loving.
Sure, but...
Or like your map warns you about an unexpected traffic jam before you even start the car. These features create a smoother, more personalized experience. They save time and mental effort. The system learns from your traces to optimize your environment for your benefit.
See, that so-called assistance is actually a quiet architecture of choices driven by optimization algorithms. And crucially, those algorithms are designed strictly for corporate objectives.
Oh, come on, not strictly.
Yes, strictly. They are optimizing for engagement, time on site, and conversion rates. Artificial intelligence does not see you the way another person does. It doesn't notice your face, your tone of voice, or, the narrative you hold about yourself.
Well, no, it's code.
Right. It sees behavioral traces to be exploited.
Okay, exploited is a heavily loaded word. It makes it sound like there's some villain twisting a mustache in a control room trying to ruin your life.
Look, there's no villain, but there is a mathematical reality here. Because by inferring emotional states and routines, the AI deploys psychological levers. It uses social proof.
Like showing how many people bought something?
Exactly. Highlighting that thousands of others liked a product to trigger your herd instinct. It manufactures urgency with countdown timers to invoke scarcity. It uses anchoring.
Let's break down anchoring for a second, actually, because I think people experience this without realizing what it is.
Right. So the algorithm deliberately shows you a drastically overpriced item first. That is the anchor. So when it shows you the second item, the one it actually wants you to buy, that item suddenly feels like a rational bargain, right?
Even if you didn't need it.
Precisely. even if you didn't need it at all. The system is not merely describing what you have done, it is shifting your habits and preferences over weeks or months, and it is doing so without your genuine informed consent.
Okay, let's pause on optimization algorithm and inferring emotional states, because I think we throw those terms around a lot in this space. As a user, I just see a suggested pair of shoes or a perfectly timed article.
It feels seamless?
It does. So what is mathematically happening in the half second before that recommendation appears on my screen? How is it inferring my emotion?
Well, it doesn't literally know you're tired or sad. It uses proxy metrics. It measures the milliseconds you linger on a photo, the slight decrease in your scroll speed, the micro hesitations before clicking.
Milliseconds? Really?
Oh, absolutely. It can even use the gyroscope data on your phone to know if you're pacing or lying down. It maps these physical phone movements against millions of other late-night users to calculate an exhaustion probability score.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah, if the math says you have an 85% probability of being fatigued, it alters the interface to match that vulnerability.
But why is that inherently bad? I mean, tailoring messages to our mental states is arguably the ultimate form of user-centric design.
You call mapping vulnerabilities user-centric?
Hear me out. If my gyroscope tells the app I'm walking and it shifts to an audio-first interface, that's just good design. If a model infers from context that I'm tired and offers me content that demands less cognitive effort, that is profoundly helpful.
But it's...
Think of it like a highly observant human concierge at a premium hotel, right? If a concierge notices you look exhausted after a flight and proactively offers to send a light meal to your room, or learns that you prefer a specific newspaper in the morning, we applaud that as exceptional service.
Well, sure, but...
We don't call it manipulation. Why do we gladly accept this attentive profiling from a human being, but immediately fear it when it's executed by code?
Because the concierge analogy breaks down instantly when you look at the incentives. A concierge's ultimate goal is your satisfaction. If you are happy and rested, they have done their job. The AI's goals belong to the platform, not to you.
But user satisfaction is a platform goal. I mean, if I hate the recommendations, if the feed makes me miserable, I close the app. The market corrects.
Does it, though? Influence, at the technical level, works through three linked mechanisms: data, prediction, and optimization. First, the data collection, which we discussed.
Right.
Second, the predictive models that forecast your likely next actions. Third, the optimization algorithms that present content to maximize the business objective. Notice that the objective programmed into the system is engagement, not user satisfaction.
But those are often correlated.
Not necessarily. A single data point seems harmless, but thousands of these small behaviors create a map of your psychological vulnerabilities. Platforms have continually nudged users in ways that increase engagement at the direct cost of user well-being.
You mean the doom scrolling effect?
Exactly. They amplify polarized, enraging content because anger keeps you scrolling. A human concierge doesn't try to make you angry so you'll stay in the lobby longer.
Okay, but engagement isn't a dirty word. Algorithms look for engagement because we as humans are drawn to it. The algorithm is just holding up a mirror to human nature.
A funhouse mirror, maybe.
But as models gain access to richer personal signals, they actually become more precise in predicting what we truly want, not just what keeps us agitated.
It's a mirror that distorts the reflection to keep you staring at it.
Even if it distorts, let's look at the actual mechanism of that reflection. You argue that if a profile is too effective, it becomes a cage of familiarity.
That's right.
If the algorithm is mapping our vulnerabilities so perfectly, what does this do to a user's worldview over time?
It traps them. Think of the predictive model like a massive, multidimensional map. You aren't you to the AI, you are a coordinate. It uses collaborative filtering.
Meaning it groups me with similar people?
Exactly. If you and 1,000 other people walk the exact same path through the digital grocery store, and 900 of them buy a specific brand of milk at the end, this system is going to drop that exact carton of milk in your hands before you even realize you're thirsty.
Well, because statistically, I probably want that milk.
Yes, but here is the trap.
Every interaction creates a feedback loop. If you accept the milk, the model learns it was effective and doubles down. It starts hiding the juice in the water.
Ah, I see.
If people with profiles like yours usually read a certain type of political commentary, the AI expects you to do the same and shapes your options to fit that expectation. Your behavior refines the model, and the model in turn refines the choices presented to you.
Creating a loop.
A closed loop. Over time, the system repeatedly favors certain options and narrows the diversity of choices available. You lose your autonomy because you are only ever choosing from a menu curated to confirm your existing biases. It traps you in identical ideas and identical products.
Look, I acknowledge there is a risk of narrowed exposure. If a system becomes overly confident in its prediction, sure, it might stop showing you what you might like outside your usual habits. But let's take a step back here. Were human choices ever truly autonomous before AI?
Of course they were. We had agency to explore a much broader, untargeted horizon.
Did we? Influence is simply a natural part of the human environment. Before algorithms, our choices were shaped heavily by traditional advertising, by our immediate social circles, cultural norms.
That's different, though.
Is it? Think about the physical layout of a grocery store that placed the highest margin items right at eye level. Our worldview was shaped by whatever the editor of the local newspaper decided was front page news. We have never made decisions in a vacuum.
Right, but
I argue we are simply trading one set of chaotic, localized environmental influences for a more mathematically precise one. Is it really a loss of autonomy or just a shift in the medium of influence?
it's a fundamental loss of autonomy because of the asymmetry of this new medium. Yes, the editor of a newspaper curated your reality, but that editor didn't know how long you spent looking at the third paragraph of an article.
Fair point.
They couldn't change the headline in real time if they sensed you were losing interest. The grocery store manager couldn't dynamically alter the price of an apple based on your emotional state or your geographic location at 11:30 at night.
Okay, the scale is different, I'll give you that.
The scale, the continuity, and the precision make this categorically different. When the system watches, predicts, reacts, and then watches your reaction to the reaction, it operates at a speed and depth that the human brain just isn't evolved to defend against. That is why it's a cage. It's a cage tailored perfectly to your psychological dimensions.
All right, so if the algorithm is as perfectly tailored as you say, and we just can't outthink an engine operating at a millisecond scale, then we're faced with a practical crisis here. What does a common user actually do when they open their phone tomorrow morning? How do we navigate this reality?
That is the big question.
Because I firmly believe this is manageable, I reject this fatalistic idea that we are entirely at the mercy of the machine. The primary tool we have is awareness.
Awareness of the profiling doesn't stop the profiling.
It breaks the spell, though. Recognizing that AI influences your choices is the very first step toward regaining agency. Once you understand that an algorithmic feed is a curated probability engine rather than, an objective window into the world, your relationship to it changes completely. I'm not so sure it's that simple.
Well, we can employ active personal strategies, intentionally diversifying our information sources, independent corroboration of facts, and just maintaining our capacity to reflect. If you see a countdown timer on a flight booking and you are aware of the anchoring and scarcity heuristics we just discussed, you can pause. You observe the influence, but you don't succumb to it. You reassert your agency through critical thought.
I just don't believe mere awareness is sufficient against optimization algorithms of this scale. Knowing you are in the cage doesn't magically dissolve the bars.
It gives you the key. No, because when an algorithm surfaces a piece of content perfectly calibrated to trigger your deepest anxieties, your rational awareness is usually the first casualty. If you want to reclaim personal control, you have to actively break the system's loops. You have to inject friction.
Friction? You mean intentionally making our technology harder to use?
I mean, making our choices deliberate again. Friction isn't just a hurdle or an annoyance, it's the very space where human agency lives. When you remove all friction, you remove the pause where choice actually happens.
Interesting way to phrase it.
The whole premise of the AI's power is that it reduces friction, so your behavior becomes automatic. To take back control, you must disable the automaticity.
What does that actually look like in practice for the average user, though?
It requires highly specific, practical steps.
Users must dive into the settings and deliberately disable ad personalization. They need to clear tracking cookies regularly.
Wait, let me challenge that. If you clear your cookies and disable personalization, you're back to seeing irrelevant ads and generic content. You break the cross-device syncing. You have to log back into everything.
Yes,
You're throwing away the convenience we've spent a decade building just to prove a point.
you are trading a slight inconvenience for your autonomy. But it goes far beyond tweaking settings. It's about introducing behavioral friction, setting deliberate delays for purchases, like enforcing a 24-hour rule before clicking buy on something recommended to you, turning off autoplay on streaming services.
Is autoplay really that insidious?
Neurologically, yes. When the next episode plays automatically, you remain in a passive state. The algorithm makes the decision for you. When autoplay is off, the screen goes black. You have to physically pick up the remote, evaluate your fatigue, and consciously choose to hit play.
A literal physical pause.
Exactly. That tiny bit of friction forces deliberation. And most importantly, users should choose curated feeds over algorithmic ones. Seek out chronologically ordered timelines or newsletters where humans, not engagement-optimizing algorithms, are making the selections. You have to break the mathematical patterns the machine is relying on.
But a chronologically ordered feed isn't necessarily better. It's just noisier. It treats an incredibly important post and a completely irrelevant one with the exact same weight, just because they were posted a minute apart.
It's unfiltered reality.
Sustainable solution. It puts the entire burden of this massive technological shift onto the shoulders of the individual. You're asking people to constantly fight their own tools. A far more sustainable approach is developing critical digital habits while still utilizing the tool.
But the tool is designed to bypass your critical habits.
Recognizing you are tired is the awareness I'm talking about. You don't necessarily need to dismantle the personalized architecture of your devices to achieve that moment of reflection. We can harness this environmental force.
Harness it how?
If I know my streaming platform is excellent at recommending brilliant documentaries, I can lean into that without losing my free will. If I know my phone flawlessly reminds me of my schedule, I can offload that cognitive burden and use my mental energy for creative, substantive thought. The convenience of AI is an asset if we manage our relationship with it.
It is an asset with a steep hidden price. The convenience of AI comes at the cost of human autonomy. And preserving our agency requires deliberately breaking those seamless, automated loops designed by platforms. We just cannot passively coexist with systems that measure their success by how effectively they can alter our behavior.
Well, as we draw to a close here, it is clear that we have found a point of absolute convergence. Both of us agree that the AI feedback loop is a permanent, highly precise, and immensely powerful fixture of modern life. This continuous observation isn't going away.
No, it's not. Our digital footprints will continue to be mapped into predictive profiles. The existence of the architecture is undeniable.
Right.
Where we diverge fundamentally is the response to it. Whether the primary strategy should be managing its benefits through awareness, as you suggest, or actively resisting its subtle coercions through deliberate friction, as I advocate.
This intellectual discourse is so vital for understanding the hidden mechanics of our digital tools. We want to declare a definitive correct way to navigate algorithmic influence today. Instead, we want to leave you, the listener, to reflect on your own digital city.
Beautifully put.
As you walk through your apps, your feeds, and your searches today, ask yourself, when the streets rearrange themselves in front of you, are they guiding you where you actually want to go, or just where the architect wants you to end up?
A question worth holding on to.
Thank you for joining us. This has been The Debate.